This video is to help with Unit 11 checkpoint number 2. Number 1 says a grocery store asked each of the 100 dentists to recommend a toothpaste brand. The table below shows the 4 brands recommended and the number of dentists who recommended each brand. The grocery store will ask another group of 25 dentists to each recommend a toothpaste brand. Based on the information in the table, what is the most reasonable prediction of the number of dentists in this group who will recommend brand T? So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a total amount. So I'm going to write total down here. And then I'm going to add up all of these. So I'm going to add up the easy stuff first. 40 and 20 is 60. 24 and 16. If we add 4 plus 6 is 0, carry the 1. 2 and 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So we get 40. 40 plus 60 is 100. So our total is 100. So now we need to make a proportion. So we have, for brand T, so that's right here, 16 over 100 would equal X over 25. Since we are looking for the 25 new dentists that we are going to ask, how many would get brand T, which is equivalent to 16. So from here we cross multiply. So we do 25 times by 16. We get 30, carry the 3. 12 plus 3 is 15. We're done with the first. X for place value. We get 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. Then add it up. Carry the 1, 3, 4. So we get 400. Now we're going to divide by 100. And when we do that, we just end up getting 4 as our answer, which is D. Number 2 says triangle PQR is similar to triangle XYZ. What is the length for XZ? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color code. So I'm going to highlight P and X as red and do that down here as well. I'm going to go Q and Y are blue. Q and Y are blue. Then I'm going to go R and Z are green. So R and Z are green. Now I need to color code the sides. So I'm going to start off with my red and go to blue. Red to blue. Red to blue. Once I hit blue, I change my color to blue, and I go blue to green. Blue to green. Once I hit green, I change and go green to red. Green to red. Now it says, what is the length of XZ? So XZ is going to be the green, and it is right here. So that's XZ, and that is green. So now we need to make our proportion to figure out that length. So we are looking for XZ, so that is going to be represented right here, XZ. And we are going to color code that highlighter green. So that means that we need the other green right here. And then we need to choose either blue or red. I'm going to choose red because they're smaller numbers and easier to work with. So red's going to be over here and down here. Now I need to see that XZ is in the big triangle. So that means the big red needs to be up there. The small would be down here and small down here. So now let's fill in what we know. The small green triangle would be 9. For the big red would be 6, and the small red would be 4. So from here we cross multiply. So we go 9 times 6, which is 54. Then we divide down. 54 divided by 4. So go top in, bottom out. 4 goes into 5 one time. That's 4. Subtract. 4 goes into 14 3 times. And that is 12. Get 2 left over. Add our decimal. Bring our 0 down. 4 goes into 25 times. So our answer would be B, 13.5. Number 3 says a gumball machine contains 60 gumballs one morning. That is a typo. This should say 30 gumballs one morning. The list below shows the number of gumballs of each color that came out of this machine during that day. So I figured out that was a typo because I added up all of those numbers, which should be the first thing you do when you are given this list. So I'm going to combine to make it easy. So 6 and 4 is 10. 7 and 3 is 10. 5 and 5 is 10. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 does equal 30. Now it says, what fraction of gumballs that came out of the machine that day were purple? So I get purple right here, 7. So it would be 7 over 30 total. So that would be A. All right, number 4 says a linear relationship is shown in the graph. Which equation best represents the relationship between x and y? So we need to remember our equation, y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, which also just means rise over run. And our b is our y-intercept, that's where it crosses the y-axis. So here, our y-axis is located right down the center of the graph. And the line right here crosses at 1. So we're going to make our first dot at 1. And that is going to be our b. So in our equation, y equals mx plus b, our plus b is plus 1. So anywhere there's not a plus 1, we can cross out. So that's b and c. Now, our slope is going to be our rise over run. So we're going to follow this line until we hit another perfect corner. So when we do that, we start here, we're following, we hit another perfect corner here. So we're going to make our second dot. Now this one's a little tricky. If we look close enough, we will see that our graph is counting by 0.5s, so halves, not wholes. So really, we're going up 1, so our rise is 1, and our run is actually 1/2, so 0.5. Now, since we had to go down right here, our 1 is actually a -1. So our rise would be -1 because we went down, and then our run is 0.5, and it's still to the right, so it's positive. So our m would be, we have to do a division problem, 1 divided by 0.5. So we got to move our decimal here, so we move our decimal here. So now it's just 5 divided by 10, which is 2. So our m would equal -2. So A would be the wrong choice. That is the tricky choice. If you were to try the 1 over 1, that would be it. But it is -1 over 0.5, so the answer would be D. Number 5 says figures JKLM is similar to figure PQRS. Which proportion must be true for these figures? So I'm going to color code. First thing I'm going to start off with is red, and it's going to be J and P. J and P. Next is going to be blue, K and Q. Then green, L and R. Then yellow, M and S. Then I need to color code the sides. So I'm going to go red to blue. Red to blue. Then blue to green. Green to yellow. And then yellow to red. Now that I have the shapes color-coded, I need to color-code my answer choices. So I'm going to start with red, which is JK. So anywhere there's JK, I'm going to color-code red. Now I'm going to do the other red, which is PQ from the other shape. So anywhere there's a PQ or a QP, I'm going to color-code red. And that would be it. Now I'm going to go to blue. So anywhere there's a KL or a QR. So KL or QR, KL or QR. I'm going to color code blue. Next is green, so that would be ML or LM, and RS or SR. So let's go LM, RS, and that would be it. And next, yellow, MJ or SP. MJ or JM, because that's the same two letters, and SP or PS, same two letters. Now we need to connect our colors. So I'm going to connect red to red for A, and there's no other connection for A, so A cannot be our answers because that is not proportional. For B, I'm connecting the blues here. I can't connect anything else since there's no other connections. R and S are not proportional. B would not be our answer. For C, I have 4 different colors, so that cannot be our answer. Ours have to have 2 of the same colors. So D should be our answer, but let's double check. We have the blues that connect here, and the yellows connect here. If we turn our iPad sideways, we can see that this makes an equal sign. Now we can continue on, just double check that QR is in our small shape. We're going to call this one our big shape. So QR is in small, KL is in big. Now the PS or SP is in the small, the JM line is in the big. So we're going to connect big to big, small to small. And if we were to connect all of these lines, it would box in our answer and tell us that is it. Number 6 says the spinner shown has 8 congruent sections. The spinner is spun 120 times. What is the reasonable prediction for the number of times the spinner will land on an even number? So a very important part right there is even number. So I'm going to highlight all my even numbers, 16, 2, and 8. So there is only 3 even numbers out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total. So now it wants to know if I were to do it 120 times, what would the reasonable number for an even number be? So I'm going to make a proportion. Do x over 120. So I'm going to cross multiply. Do 120 times 3 is 360. I'm going to divide down by 8. So I'm going to go top in, bottom out. 8 goes into 3 0 times, into 36. 4 times, and that's 32. You get 4 left over. 8 goes into 45 times. So the answer would be B, 45. Number 7 says a utility line runs underground through Shane's rectangular backyard. Shane is not allowed to dig within 3 feet of the utility line. The diagram below shows the dimensions of Shane's backyard in feet. The dashed line represents the utility line. What is the area in square feet of the part of the backyard in which Shane is allowed to dig? So essentially this is a shaded, non-shaded problem. So let's go ahead and make it official, and let's highlight what we cannot dig. So once we highlight this, or shade it in, that just tells us what we cannot have. So let's find the area of both shapes, and then we can subtract the shaded part. So for the non-shaded, we're going to do area equals base times height. So we're going to do 22 times 17. 22 is our base, 17 is our height. 7 times 2 is 14, carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Get x for place value, get 2, 2. Now we add up. 4, 7, 3. So we get 374. Now we need the shaded part. So our base right here would be 3 and 3, which is 6 total. So 6 is our base, and the height would still be the same at 17. So area equals base times height. The base would be 6. The height is 17. So So 17 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. Create the 4. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10, so we get 102. Now we need to figure out the actual total of what he can dig up. So we need to subtract. So we do 374 minus 102. So we get 4 minus 2 is 2, 7 minus 0 is 7, 3 minus 1 is 2. So we get 272, which is A. On number 8, there's a little typo. D should just say triangle instead of D. So that reads triangle SRT is similar to triangle PRH. And it says which segment corresponds with ST. So we're going to start off by color coding. So S and P are red. So S, P are red. We got R and R are blue. Then T and H are green. Now we need to color code the sides. So we're going red to blue to start off. So we got red to blue. Then we go blue to green. And then green back to red. So we need to look, and it says which segment corresponds with ST. Well, ST right here is green. So we're going to highlight this green. Now we're going to color code each answer to see what color codes with green or corresponds with green. So we look at RT. RT right here is blue. Then we look at RH, which is also blue. Then we look at PR, which is right here. P to R is red. Then we look at PH. So it's looking for PH right here, and that is green. So there's only one answer that is the same as what we're looking for, which is green, and that is D. Number 9 says, James is a lifeguard at a swimming pool. He made a table to show the number of guests that used the pool over the past 4 days. Which statement is best represented by this table? So we have a bunch of statements that are comparing each day to each other. So A says more guests came on Thursday, which is 108, than all other days combined. So we need to add 54 plus 72 plus 95. Those are the rest of the days. When we add those up, it equals 221. So the statement, more guests came on Thursday, which is 108, than all other days, would be false. Okay, next says there was twice as many guests on Thursday than there was on Monday. So Thursday was 108, Monday was 54. So if we do 54 times 2, we get 108, because that would be double. 54 times 2, we get 108. And B seems like a pretty reasonable answer. But let's keep checking the rest just to make sure. C says the combined number of guests on Tuesday and Thursday. So Tuesday was 72, Thursday was 108. Together, those add up to be 180. Is less than the combined number of guests on Monday and Wednesday. So Monday is 54, Wednesday is 95. Those together are 149. So since 180 is more than 149, C would be incorrect. Now D says 50% of the total number of guests came on Thursday. So Thursday is 100, 108. And we have to add up the rest to get a total. So we're going to do 108 plus 95 plus 72 plus 54. When we add that up, we get 329. So 108 is only about a third of the total, which is 33%, not 50%. So D was wrong. Our answer is B. 10 says the table shows the relationship between Y, the total number of books Adam has read, and X, the number of weeks he has been reading. Which graph best represents the relationship between x and y shown in the table? So we look and we see that y is on this side right here. This is y and this is x. Now we need to know that x's on our graph are right here and y's are up here. It's very important to know. So the first one says 220. So we need to go to the graph and see if we can find a 220 on the graph. So on A, it says at right here would be 15 weeks, would be 0 books. Well, here we see 15 is 46 books, so A would be wrong. Going to B, at 2 weeks, it's 20. At 5 weeks, which is in between 4 and 6, would be 26, so it's right above, which seems reasonable. 7, in between 6 and 8, would be 30 books, which is right on. 10 weeks is 36, which looks pretty reasonable. And 15 weeks between 14 and 16 is 46. So far, B seems like a perfect match. Let's check the rest just to make sure. C tells us at 2 weeks, we're at 25 books. That does not match our table, so C cannot be our answer. And D tells us at 20 weeks, he's at 0 books. That has nothing to do with our graph, so D would be wrong, and our answer would be B.